Pearl-based, brought to you by the Windows Group of Companies, Colonial Group International, Global Atlantic Financial Group, Game Time, and Fit for Life with Dave Wolf. Now let's go live with Ian Rollins and Pearl Wisdom.
And good afternoon and welcome to Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday. It is September 10th, 2018. Of course, I'm Ian Rollins with my colleague, Earl Basin. And at the controls, it's, what's that guy named there? Roddy Gun.
Legal gun.
Legal Gun.
Gentlemen.
Shades on.
Please stand. Thank you very kindly, sir. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Good.
Beautiful day.
Yeah, beautiful. A little rain. Need some more rain.
Yeah.
Needs definitely some more rain.
Need that.
Our guest in studio today will be the women's national rugby team as they prepare for international event later this month. They'll be joining us in studio. And of course, Mr. Calvin Blankendale will be joining us as well with some football stuff, some updates in that regards. And of course, there's a lot of sports happening on the weekend. We'll share with our colleague, Mr. Earl Baston. And of course, the big one from an international perspective is Serena Williams. Did you get a chance to see that, Mr. Baston?
Oh, she's going to be here today. I took my hand, I was in my phone, all I heard was a name. And he was talking about gas tonight.
Right.
She's in the hallway.
Yeah, she's on her way.
Okay. I'll never be good for that one.
Make sure I got enough film in the camera.
Actually, we have to dial that one in.
Yeah. I did manage to see a bit of it.
Wasn't there a young Japanese?
Yeah,
Chinese
she
lady
was.
that did well?
20-year-old. Yeah,
Okay.
her first Grand Slam.
So I caught the end part of it. Like,
Yeah. So I'm saying you saw a bit of it.
I saw a bit of
your
it.
thoughts on it?
I didn't see the incident.
Right.
And haven't seen the incident, what she was accused of doing.
Mm.
I saw part of the reaction.
Mhm.
No surprise,
Mhm.
because one thing people wouldn't know, she's a very emotional person.
Mhm.
So once she felt as if she was being picked on, she reacted. If anyone would remember, a few years ago, during the same U.S. Open, she had to go at a line judge
Mhm.
and was fined, and I believe given a suspension.
Mm.
So no, she just got a fine.
Mhm.
Just got a fine. So when things are not well, she reacts.
Mm.
Whether obviously you're going to have those that agree, and the other side's going to disagree.
Mm.
But lessons learned, I guess, from all. She received, I think, a $17,000 fine
Chump change.
for her outburst.
Outburst. Emotional outburst.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, hey, congratulations to the young lady.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure she didn't want to win it in such controversy. However, she played well enough to win it.
Mm.
She dominated that first set. Serena was not at her best in that first set. So, when you do enough to get ahead, you just make sure you stay ahead. So,
Precisely.
and that's what she done. So,
Right.
yeah.
I had the opportunity to see it myself. I was actually watching the match, and she was accused of cheating.
Mhm.
Her coach cheating. The coach admitted that he was giving her signs. As you see the replay from ESPN, Serena doesn't appear to look in that angle
Mhm.
on that corner to her right to say, "Yeah, I got your sign," and she was getting beat on the baseline.
Right.
Corner to corner, back to back, right?
Mhm.
She's 36, the young girl's 20.
Sure.
So you can tell that the youth, of fitness is coming into play
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
And he basically did this, and that's common sense. Come closer to the net.
Right.
Come closer to the net, do drop shots, whatever the case may be, but play close
Right.
to the line of the net, sorry.
Mhm.
And so the judge took it upon himself and said, "You're cheating." So she said what she had to say. And basically, she said she was standing up for women's rights. And I believe that. And I think she was.
Mhm.
And I sincerely do think she was doing it in that regard. And her last 6 Grand Slam titles, she's lost 4.
Right.
So the pressure is on her to win that title, the elusive title, to tie the all-time record in
Mhm.
women's tennis. So that's a part of it. But more so, she has every right to explain her situation. Now let's look at the John McEnroes,
Mhm.
the Ilie Nastasis,
Mhm.
the Jimmy Connors.
Mhm.
They opened up with French language,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Not choice words you can use on television or radio.
Mhm.
and broke the rackets on
Yeah.
numerous occasions.
Mhm.
And were they fined, or were they given the same severity result of deducting a point and a game from you in a
Right.
Grand Slam final, let alone a Grand Slam? That have to be the final. It could be the quarterfinals,
Mhm.
semifinals. In the history, they say it has never happened.
Right.
Is it in the rules of the game of tennis? Yes. I think that the umpire, chair umpire, could have conducted himself better.
Right.
Personally, this is me.
Mhm.
It's in the rules, so he has every right to outline them. Was she warned? Yes, she was warned. Was she losing? And people saying, but your point is that she was losing and maybe she couldn't take it. You didn't say it, but there's other people
Right.
that said it. Sorry.
Right.
Possibility.
Mhm.
That's a possibility. But the mere fact is that we've seen outbursts in
Yeah.
the sport of tennis
Yeah.
far worse than this.
And let me ask you this question: if the score was 5-4, third set, would the umpire do the same thing?
That's a damn good question. Probably not.
No.
You're right. And the third set,
Mhm.
right? Because women play 3 sets. You're
Yeah.
right. Most likely not. Now, do we know that? No, but chances are,
Yeah.
if you're a gambling person,
Yeah.
most likely not.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, he was within his right,
Mhm.
and that was agreed upon by the two major judges that came on the court.
Right.
I
forget their names.
they were the rule. I guess the
The officials for the
Right,
World
for the-
Tennis
yeah,
Association.
And
World
they come
Tennis
out.
Association.
and I know. I mean, listening to a little bit of what Serena says, she says, "I know you can't change it because he's in charge of the match."
Right.
But she wanted her voice heard.
It was her.
Yeah.
It was her. That's why she was
Yeah.
fined $17,000.
I had said to someone, I doubt if she'll hang around for the presentation. But you know what? She showed a lot of class by standing there and talking with the young lady.
Right. And she also said, I'm not going to answer any questions to my reaction of the tennis match.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put the emphasis on the young lady.
Mhm.
She won it. It's not about me. It's
Right.
about her.
Right.
And so I give her credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing was that's first time it's ever happened in tennis is that the umpire was not awarded during the awarding ceremony. Was not given an award during the ceremony. And the reason was because of safety.
Mm-hmm.
They felt that not only would he be booed, things would have objectives could have been thrown at him. And that's a possibility that could have happened.
Right.
It just seemed very odd. Right. And this is my opinion that why would you come down so severe on a penalty like that in the finals? That's what I'm like, bro, that doesn't bode well, right? Will he be in the chair again? I don't know. He's supposed to be one of the best umpires from male and female perspective. But to me, bluntly, he showed some bias, right, in this. And not the bias as in sexual bias.
Right.
Put it bluntly, that side too. Right.
It'll be interesting to go back and find out what the young lady's name that Serena had the outburst with the line judge a few years ago, if she's still officiating. Because then that would put you in a position to know what would happen with this. Now, if this guy's considered one of the best, okay, if he's deemed to have made a mistake, then they'll deal with that. But if he's deemed to be right, then how do they handle it? It's up to the ITF.
And you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's interesting how so much attention has been put on this because usually when the men win,
Mm-hmm.
and this is funny, and power to the women,
Mm-hmm.
that is still talking about Serena Williams.
Yes.
That Djokovic won the U.S. men's finals, and it was a comeback for him because he's been injured over the last 18 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear much about that.
No.
Everything is still Serena Williams.
That was a late night blip on the map because everyone was still talking about Saturday's match.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, you're right.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to happen, or talk, I should say, is going to vary on for remainder of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. Within the tennis circles, I guess even with those people on the outside who, again, support, because no matter how you look at things, whenever decisions are made by people who have outbursts or make a bad decision, whether it be personal or professionally, you have people that would defend it because of the person, and you'll have people that would be against it because of the person.
Good point.
And then,
Good point.
roles reverse. Somebody the people that are against this person today, that somebody in their friendship or their circle might make that same decision, and then they'll defend it. The same thing they're against today, they'll be for tomorrow because it's a different. That person's out of character. That person's not. They make excuses for it. So sometimes, hey, You call a spade, move on. Forget it.
Yeah, right.
Well, not forget it, but move on. Why are we spending 3-4 days talking about an incident that that the organization which run the event have made a decision? They've given her a fine. She's paid the fine. You move on. Okay, next match.
My final before we bring our first guest in is this: in sports, from golfing, say individual, to badminton, to team sports, NFL, football, hockey, you name it. You have a coach. Why can't a coach is there to assist you, to point out things that the athlete cannot see? Therefore, you're telling me this doesn't happen in tennis, which is we know full well it happens. Why is it such an issue on this occasion Saturday?
I'm trying to figure out how the chair judge
can turn around and see it.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Is he being told by someone that the coach is giving tips?
Possibility.
Well, if that's the case, then hey.
But again, all coaches do it, right? So why isn't it an issue? And he admitted that he was coaching her. Why is it an issue? What, you can't coach in tennis now all of a sudden?
Hey, I don't understand the rules of tennis like that. I mean, if there's no coaching, coach don't show up.
Right, and I thought that they said it's allowed. It's allowed in the sport of the finals. If any tennis person is listening, I should have asked David Lambert. He knows these rules very well. He goes to the U.S. It's probably out there. Can it be? And should it be if it's not allowed? It should be, in my opinion. An athlete
he's not coming on the court. He's not coming. Yeah. He or she is not coming on the court.
Not calling timeouts.
if a hand signal is to advise you what to do, then are you afraid that the person sitting up in 34F ain't the friend of a coach that's gonna? I'm looking up in 34F because that's where my instructions are coming from.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the coach texts person up in 34F and the person in 34F goes like that, are you to say that I'm cheating because I'm looking at the person in 34F?
Right. Good point. No, you should.
So,
yeah.
Hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is. They should allow it. Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take our first commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have representatives of the women's rugby team. Again, as we mentioned earlier, we'll be representing Bermuda in the upcoming Caribbean Championships later this month. We'll have them join us in studio. We'll be back after this.
Back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Baston.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Joining us in studio now, Ian has guests from the two guests from the Bermuda Rugby Football Union. They will be off to the RAN tournament. I believe it's September, what is it, 28th, 29th?
September 20th to the 24th.
20th. Oh, okay. All right. Well, first of all, welcome.
Hi there.
All is good?
Yeah, all is
And
well.
you're Jamie, you're the head coach, one of the coaches for the team?
I'm one of the coaches,
Right.
that's right, yeah.
Now, this is new to us, meaning that I just found about this last week. The women's rugby team will be off to Barbados, is it correct?
That's correct.
Right. Big tournament happening overseas. Explain to us, how did you pick the team and where's the team standing right now?
Right, so I guess I think for clarity, it's worth pointing out that I've come onto the scene probably 4 weeks ago, less than.
fair
I've
enough.
arrived on the island less than 5. So if you want a job in coaching in Bermuda Rugby, it's just get in contact with Gemma or Keegan and get straight in. So from my perspective, I've arrived on the island. I quickly got a bike so I could get to and from training. I met up with Gemma and Keith in a coffee shop in downtown Hamilton, and we were kind of posed this situation that we have so many weeks, which was about five or six weeks at the time.
Oh.
We have 12 players that have been kind of on the radar, as to speak, and we've gone for 3 sessions a week on a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday, and those have been held at a mixture of the National Stadium and at Warwick Academy School. And we've got a real mix of youth. We've got 5 girls who are under the age of 20, and some of them are based have been based overseas, who have come back for the summer to train specifically for this.
Right.
Then we've got another range of women another 5 of them who are plus 30s.
Right.
I think I should make special mention of Gillian, who's we've actually got a mother-daughter combination of the team, which is incredible. Gillian will kill me if I tell her age, but she's over 40, and her daughter is 20, and she's actually she's been over in Worcester, right?
Yeah, so she's been away studying in Coventry this year in the UK, and has been playing 15s with them, so has gone on quite successfully and taken her rugby to the next stage, and even actually debuted with the Worcester Valkyries, which is a very high performing team in the UK. So yeah, we've got good mix of age ranges and experience on the team.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you guys have been training now for 5 weeks. Where were you then and where were you now? And what are the expectations going forward in the RAN competition in Barbados?
Yeah, so I think I'll give you a little bit of background as to our team and how it's kind of come together. We've been training seriously for these internationals for the last 6 or 7 years as a group. Obviously, women's rugby isn't a sport that's that well known. We have a massive following in touch rugby, which is essentially non-contact. We've got 4 big teams on island that play regularly, and there's really good kind of take up there. But one of the areas of development that the BRFU are looking at is how we draw and attract more young players into contact rugby. So this is looking at the full tackles, the scrums, the line out, something that's currently not played on island. Part of our kind of development process was to work with the national team and get them out to these high profile internationals. 1, because we want to represent Bermuda at that level, and 2, because we want to show young Bermudians what they could work up to and aspire to when we start working with some of the high schools, which is on our agenda. So this tournament for us, it's the highest level that we can go to. So the first place team that will rank out of this tournament will go ahead to, I think it's the Pan Ams, and they'll also play at the Hong Kong International Sevens next year. And also I think second place would also get a place at Pan Ams too. So it's where we want to head in terms of international development. Our size is not something to be overlooked. We're a small island. We're probably one of the smallest islands out there next to Cayman. We definitely go up against it when we're playing the likes of big teams like Mexico and Jamaica. But one thing that we've learned over the last 6 or 7 years is that our team will leave it all out on the field. We go out there with the best training we can possibly have for a team of the only contact team on the island, so we don't get to practice as much contact as we'd like, but we go out there and we leave it all out, play with our hearts and souls, and we're really hoping to be able to improve upon our record. We didn't do so great last year. It was a big learning experience for us. The whole region is coming up massively in terms of its women's rugby development, and we know that we've got some big strides to make, but we're hopeful that with Jamie and Keith's kind of leadership this year with the training, that we can take it to them and hopefully place a little higher. So that's our challenge.
Well, the other challenge I would always recognize is the fact that the ladies that are abroad play 15s. Sevens is totally different. Different skill set, different speed set, different layout of the matches. What are the things specifically you guys have been working on to make sure, because you got to kind of stay compact at times and be as wide as possible to protect the other side.
That's right. It's very good knowledge. and in a short space of time, we focused on the processes that really help you to be as successful as you can on the pitch, really. And that's not just the skills and tactics of the game. That's also the character building side of things, how you develop as individuals. What we say, kind of better people, better students, better athletes, because we have students in our team.
Yeah.
Right? So we've focused on there's been a dual focus there. But no, you're absolutely spot on. It is a very different game, and I think if you speak to all the best kind of teams and coaches in the world, they'll say to you that winning is a reflection of the processes, and the processes are built on character.
Right.
So we've got to find time to work on both those things.
Yeah, I know it's difficult at times because you don't have a lot of contact. When you guys started this about 6 or 7 years ago, there were a handful of people that wanted to do contact. And it took some time to get off the ground. Obviously, when you go international, it's all contact. It's very rarely a touch sort of tournament, because if you're talking about going to the sevens of Hong Kong, if you're talking about Pan Am, it's got to be contact. So the mindset of the ones that have been on the sideline looking in, do you see that getting more interest? I would ask you, because you've been around a lot longer.
Yeah, I would say so. And there's absolutely everything to be gained by getting involved with the local touch clubs. I would say that if you were somebody that perhaps is looking at contact sevens as potentially a sport you'd like to get involved with, start out with one of the touch clubs and get involved. Work on your basic skills. There are elements of the touch game that are incredibly similar to sevens in particular. There's find opportunities to join team, really understand what that teamwork process looks like, and to develop key skills such as the catching and the passing, running plays, and what have you, and then to take it on from there. Come down to some of the contact trainings and just see how it feels, and there's no wrong way to go about it, and getting involved in any rugby in any capacity is actually a really great way to start. So definitely encourage anybody that's thinking about doing that just to jump right in with 2 feet.
You mentioned earlier to the interview that a lot was learned from last year to this year. What was learned? What was taken and saying we really need to improve on these areas?
So I think for us, we had, there's been a real, like I said, a steep incline in terms of the performance of this particular region. We're talking the Caribbean, South America, North America, Canada. In terms of the rugby development. And for us, I think what became really obvious is that we need more time playing other teams. So part of our focus is to look at different ways we can raise sponsorship in the local community and get some support for our club or for our ladies, so that we can actually take ourselves to overseas tournaments during the year. There are very specific tournaments that kind of emulate the 2-day tournament style of RAN that we need to expose ourselves to, because things that we certainly notice is that we could do with some more time on the ground scrapping for the ball, and we could do with some more time putting in those massive hits against like a woman who's probably like 2 or 3 times your size. You don't get that here. So for us, one of our takeaways was definitely that we wanted to focus on taking the team away, but obviously to do that we have to raise funds to do so. So that was one big area for us.
One of the things I've noticed, and we'll use the terminology of what the national football team has done with the under-17 girls, what they've concentrated on doing was playing boys under 15. So you know what I mean? So have you guys thought about trying to do that with some of the young men that are in not well.
Well done, Bermuda football. That's spot on. It's absolutely
Yeah.
spot. Yeah, I mean, you always want your players to play against people who are going to challenge you,
Mhm.
because if you're going to create the right environment for people to get better, they have to be challenged.
Right.
And one of our biggest problems, probably for the girls, and they will tell you this, is they just don't play enough games.
Right.
So, so I'm sure somewhere within us all, we're kind of not sure what's going to happen when we go, because
Right.
I've seen them playing training on
Yes.
on a 6-on-4,
Right.
but a 7-on-7, we haven't seen it yet. So, so what it's funny you should mention it, because actually this week, this is what we're trying to organise with the rugby development officer in Bermuda called Paddy.
Right.
And he's trying to get us some games, and Keith's trying to organise some games against under 19 boys and under 16 boys.
Right.
So that hopefully, and if that gets over, it'd be great, because it just might mean they can kind of get rid of that those cobwebs, so there are no surprises.
This year will be a challenge, but if it's something that you guys continue to do, you'll find the ladies will get a lot stronger, more confident in getting hit as well as giving a hit, because it's all going to be new to some of those people. You haven't had a hit when you went to, where did you go, Vegas the other day?
We haven't had a hit in 12 months.
Okay, so now the first real hit, the body's going to say, now hold on.
And I'll tell you where that's going to come from too. It will come from the Jamaica game 100%, because those girls hit. They really do. So yeah, we definitely have that, and you see it in the tournament. So it may be a little ginger on the ground in kind of the first 7 or 8 minutes, but once we get into it, it comes back quickly. But how much better would it be to just hit the ground running with that confidence?
Yeah.
So that's definitely an area for us.
Now, obviously, as a coach, you have a monumental task of regrouping right after a game, whether it be win, lose, or draw, because the team, you played, 3 games the first day?
I think we do 3 games the first day, and then 2 and some, depending on how we progress the second.
Being prepared for game 2 is just as important as being prepared for game 1, because, regardless of what the result is, you got to go back out there, and then you still got another game. So how do you plan to, I guess, facilitate just that?
Well, the great thing about sevens is you don't have very long before you're back out there again. So you've got an immediate opportunity. You don't have to wait a week like you would do in most traditional sports. You wait till next Saturday. You've got an hour, an hour and 15 minutes, and you're back out. You've got a chance to if it doesn't go how you want it to go, you've got a chance to put it
But you only have an hour to do so.
That's right, but at least it comes around quick. So the one game's done, it's done. You're on to the next. Your focus is always looking. What's right in front of you, which is a really nice thing, actually.
Your first impression of what you saw at the first training session?
I saw a group of girls who were willing to work extremely hard. That's what I saw, and that's all you can ask for as a coach. All you ever want is the elm tree of mastery: effort, learning, and try and master the skills that are at hand. That's it. That's what's ahead of you.
As for the team itself, what's the spirits like?
I think, as always with this particular tournament, I think there is some, maybe some nervousness, and people have been working really hard. Like Jamie said, they're training at least 3 times a week on the field, and then they've got their extras that they're putting in to keep fitness as good as it can be. And hopefully they're doing their recovery, which involves a lot of stretching and keeping the muscles nice and loose. So as we get closer to the tournament in the next 2 to 3 weeks, it's really just keeping together as a group, supporting each other, and focusing really on the task ahead. So it's hard to really say. I guess some nervousness maybe, but I'm sure it'll all just be left on the field once they get there.
I trained with one of your colleagues, Jillian. She's a beast.
Sure is.
She is. I mean, she pushed a sledge. There's a lot of weight on there, like what I'm pushing, and she runs hard. She runs to the gym from her house and runs back, and that's about 2.5 miles back, and a mile and a half, 2.5 back, 2.5 miles. Yeah, she's putting in a lot of effort. Is everyone putting in effort like her?
Yeah,
may I add, she's also a mother of 3 or 4. So just out to do. So
she's an athlete.
This is a secondary job for her. She's still doing it as good as anyone else.
And she ran the other day. She told me she went to Horseshoe to do the Kilimanjaro on a Tuesday night or Thursday night, and turns around and does conditioning class Friday at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like nothing bothered her. Like it's just
she's definitely a beast, that one. I would say the girls are all working really hard because and the good thing about this particular team is they've all been to an international before, so they all recognise what it's like to be, you know, huffing and puffing on the field 5 minutes into your first game, and you realise you've got, you know, at least another half and then some more games after that. So we've all experienced that firsthand, and I don't think any one of them wants to shortchange themselves or each other. So they're definitely putting in their extras to make sure that they're ready for the tournament.
You mentioned that Jamaica obviously will hit hard. Aside from them, any other countries that are going to be on that type of
Every
level?
other one of them.
I mean, no one. I mean, they're all out, you know, to win. You know, so
Right.
it is definitely, you know, every team's a threat. But one thing, you know, I think we do notice is that the size of the country matters, because obviously the playing pool's a lot bigger, and you notice it a lot with this particular tournament because you've got big countries like Canada, Mexico, Jamaica, who we've seen and played in the past, where, you know, we will get trounced, and we're okay with that, but our job to go out on the field and really just annoy them and, you know, create as much difficulty as possible. And so, you know, it's hard for them to score tries as opposed to them just sailing the tries. Yeah. And then I think, you know, there are the smaller islands like ourselves that maybe have less organisation around, you know, the sports development framework, and you know, probably a much smaller pool of athletes that are more in our kind of strong suit, because it then gives us more of an opportunity to go away and get the results we want from those games. So they're definitely all a threat, but some of the countries obviously have a lot more money and funding and size and numbers behind them than others.
You mentioned earlier that you wanted to see the international arena for women's rugby to grow. You guys really started this pathway some 6 years ago. There's obviously major improvements along the way during the 6 years. Where do you see yourselves hopefully in another 4 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start, and then Jamie might have some thoughts. But we definitely want to take this into more of the high school programs, and to develop a kind of clean line from high school into a national team program and structure. Obviously, that depends massively on the support we get in terms of our coaches and volunteers, and we have had some massive changeovers in coaching in the last kind of 4 or 5 years. We lost a really big coach called Andy who trained with us, I think, almost 3 years ago now. We've then had some coaches working with us. We had one great guy from the national team sevens last year, Rich Cumbers, who was working with us, but he sadly relocated back to the UK. Mm-hmm. And then just at the end of last year, start of this year, we were fortunate enough to get the support from Keith Hodgkins, and then a very recent addition from Jamie. And, you know, Jamie's had some really great experience at an international level in terms of his coaching back home. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was coaching with the England Women's Academy. So the expertise is there to help support us, even if it's just to say, you know, this is what I've seen work, and I think it could really work for the size and style of our kind of community. So I think, you know, once RAN's out of the way, the focus for us really will be on how we use RAN as a platform to showcase, you know, to young mediums that might have an interest, that this is something that they could do. They could represent their country, come down to training, learn a bit more about the sport. I don't know if there's anything.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, there's a great batch of youngsters in this squad. You know, we've got some, you know, I'll name some names. You know, we've got some Cherry and Corey and Camille and Keante, just to name a few, and Liz. I mean, they're serious talents, but they're just not that experienced. Right. That's the so. But I mean, I think you're absolutely right. You've got to, you know, this twofold. I mean, I would love to see some of those girls also trying to getting involved in that role to inspire other women and younger girls to get involved. But then also we need Bermudan coaches, right? Right. It's no good some punter like me going 5 weeks on the island and just you know, we want to inspire a group of people who are going to be able to, and they're there. Right. Even just looking at, I've met 11 girls involved in rugby, or Gemma 12 women. But I mean, you know, out of those 5, they're great people, and you know, even the more senior girls as well, they can hold a really good position as a role model, coaching other girls, and I think that's really important that happens. Which club roped you in? Which club rugby? Which club roped you in? Oh, I haven't got any allegiances really. I am a free agent. So did they have you down on Saturday watching? There's been a loose email about the Mariners, and I think. But I'm just here to help. So whatever. Well, back to the women. You all leave on the Wednesday or the?
Yeah, we leave early. Actually, no, I think it might be early Thursday morning.
Thursday
Yeah,
morning.
so
Okay.
Thursday morning, they'll be out, and then there's a day of kind of familiarization, some training, some
Right.
rest, and then the tournament days would be Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, okay. Obviously, the pool has been done.
So our first game's Curacao, and then we have Jamaica and Trinidad on day one, and then into day two we face Bahamas, and then what happens then is the pools drop out there, and we go through and play like the pools depending on where we place. So we're not sure who will meet after that, but.
The way that the Caribbean has designed certain interests of making sure some islands or some countries play in their, I guess, in their same not region but group, meaning you're not going to play on a regular basis. You shouldn't be playing USA, Mexico, Canada. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, maybe, but. Can you guys see that happening a little more, where you're playing such as the Caymans, the British Virgin Islands, you know what I mean? Your kind of size, and then maybe a step up, but not. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, we did play Canada 2 years ago, and it was actually, do you know what? For the first 3.5 minutes, we had possession, and we held up pretty good. And then after that, it just became a bit of a whitewash. But, you know, we did create problems for them, and we made it difficult. But you got to recognise these guys are major international athletes. Like we saw a lot of, you know, a couple of their, they were playing their select teams. They weren't playing their firsts.
Right.
And some of those girls were actually playing in the, you know, the women's sevens that year. So, you know, we just looked at it as an opportunity and a privilege to get to play against such an amazing team.
Right.
And, you know, that will happen from time to time because, you know, I don't know how they plan their pools, but I think as a rule, generally, if there are two massive teams, they'll generally try to split them up across the pools and just have them play each other. I don't know how they go about doing the rest of them, but we, you know, we'll just take whoever we get really and give it our best shot.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Keep an eye on how you're making out down there. So,
is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, it was lovely to meet you both.
It's funny.
Talk to me on the on the 30th.
Yeah, we'll come back in when we're all done. We'll bring some players with us.
So yeah. Well, thank you for coming and joining us today on Inside Sports Talk Radio.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Not a problem. And we'll be in contact with you during your tournament as well. Okay.
Sure. Perfect.
We'll take a commercial break and then we'll go straight to news at 1 o'clock. We'll be back just about 7 minutes after 1. We'll be back inside Sports Talk Radio.
Power 95 FM.
This weather update was provided by the Bermuda Weather Service, sponsored by BF&M. Now, back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio with Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Joining us in studio right now is Mr. Calvin Blinkendale, who's no stranger to Inside Sports Talk Radio or to the community of Bermuda and sports. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
All is well?
All is well.
Once again, you've put yourself involved in some good stuff as usual. The Bermuda Sports Management Group will be working with students going overseas and developing their skills in not just sports, but in every other area, from boarding schools to universities and so forth. But the good thing is that you're helping them how to prepare better than just sending them off. Explain to us what this role entails.
Well, being involved in coaching for the last 15 years, the legacy is you develop a player, they play for the national team or they play for the club, you win trophies together, you travel together. But I guess when you get a little bit older in life, I'm looking closer to 50, I'm saying, what would the legacy be? And the legacy can't just be about creating a good individual player or a team that's going overseas or that has won some local domestic competitions. You start to look at life differently, and when I look back and I see, hey, what is a legacy that could be good for the player, the family, for Bermuda, and also to say it was worthwhile being involved in the game in various facets. It would be to make sure that our students, who for the majority are student athletes in a wide variety of sports and programs, actually reach their maximum potential. One thing in Bermuda, we have talent, and we have students, and we have student athletes. But what I have found over the years is that putting all of those pieces together at the right time with the right people and introducing them to the right network to ensure that they reach the full potential, that has been challenging. There are many individuals we see in the game who we know were excellent but did not reach their full potential, specifically academically after they've come out of high school. Because financing is difficult. We live in the most expensive place. Sometimes not knowing who to reach out to, sometimes not knowing when the deadlines are for applications. But also, what we know now is that our students, a large number, are doing well on the field, but when it comes to doing well in the classroom, they're not reaching those numbers, rather than those percentages or grades to actually apply for bursaries. And applying for academic bursary, which means you're a student, and then an athletic bursary means you're a student athlete, is very important in Bermuda. Why? If we look at mortgages, if we look at the cost of living, if we look at groceries, just the basics of life, how many of our parents now and even in the past were able to live in Bermuda, provide everything we need on a daily basis, but also have this additional funds to send us to school without any support? So the student who is receiving an education, and I wouldn't say free because taxpayers pay, even though I think that's a myth that we need to let our students know education is not free. You're going to school is being paid for. Or private school where parents are paying a secondary portion of fees for education. The student needs to recognize that their number one rule when they step in between those school gates is to learn. The second rule is to use whatever skill sets they have, whether it's academics, arts, hands-on mechanics, for the best ability, so that they can actually then assist themselves, but assist their families, so that they can achieve success in Bermuda. Because for the majority, you need a very high level of education, or you need to be very skilled with your hands to be able to survive in this country.
For sure. Why you mentioned the reasons, but you outlined what needs to be done, and it's important because we, in the past, when I say past, say 25 years ago, even 30 years ago, even 40, majority of our talented athletes went on the premises of an athletic scholarship. Things have changed. The academics has been put forth more, which is good because that's what we really go to school for, is for academics. How are you preparing our athletes for this new adventure?
Now, preparation is learning first as an adult, and I'm still learning a lot about the arena of athletic and academic scholarships. But first and foremost is that the preparation begins well before you graduate from high school. So as a coach, we have camps, we have tours, and parents will say, my son or daughter is getting ready to graduate. I'm looking for a school. Can you help me? And I'm like, okay, when are they graduate? They're graduating in 2 months. Okay, I'm not a miracle worker, but I know a few people. And so you start looking around and you talk to people and they say, man, this person is excellent, but they're missing this, or have they done this test, or the grades. And so when you actually track it back, you know, you look from the date of graduation and you actually work backwards. They should have really been in tune with what was needed for them to graduate and to apply for those bursaries, probably at the S2 level the latest, but when they're getting into M3, they should be directed towards your high school is actually your last phase for you to prepare for this academic and athletic scholarship. Not saying it's not possible once you graduate from high school, but it's always easier to do it while you're in an academic institution and setting. And so what I've done with some research locally and overseas and reaching out to you know, experts in the US and in the UK, our students going into S1 need to be reminded why they're there, because their S2 grade, which is their second year of high school, and the second last year of high school, S3, those grades are really submitted to the university for bursaries. By the time you graduate in May in S4, your college application should have already been in, and you should have already received a letter of intent or notice saying you have been accepted. So if you're waiting on your final year's grade to send to a college, that means you're not really in line for the college application and scholarship, because they also have deadlines where they know how many students are coming in, where their money and funding is going, and you know, their bursary deadlines are there as well. So they cannot wait until June when you receive your walking papers or your certificate to then say, okay, this person is now eligible. So our students need to know they cannot wait until the last year to actually work hard and try to get A's. In the second year in high school, and hopefully earlier, to doing that, they need to buckle down and actually get their best grades, conduct, and also on the field performance.
Especially for boys, and the girls a little different, but for boys, we've seen the struggle of being inside the classroom, attention span, just the struggle that a lot of these young men have had. Talented on field, whether it be basketball, football, you name it. How do you get to that? How do you get to those young men and young ladies to ensure that they get or understand the importance of what goes on in the classroom?
First of all, I think it's culture, and it's also being willing to lose to win. And I'll say too, first of all, you know, as a people, we receive a lot, and a lot of things maybe it looks easy. Now, as adults, we know it's not easy because our parents are working hard, and sometimes they do not release all of the information to our kids because they don't want them to know the struggles we're going through, mortgages and work and finance. And so the kids think, I get the Nike shoes, I get the Xbox, I get the iPhone, I'm traveling 3 times a year, it looks easy. So for them, and even when I was coming up, I recognized, like, I'm getting all this stuff, it must be easy. It wasn't until one day my mom says, this paycheck is not the paycheck for you, it's got to go to the light bill. And I'm looking like, well, what's left, Mom? And it wasn't really much.
Right.
My mom was, you know, working as a retail clerk, and she gave me everything I needed. But once I finally understood at the age of 16 or 17 that paycheck that looked big to me when I was 10, 11 years old, it wasn't much. Right. So I think we need to have those discussions. And then for coaches, we need to recognize that to win the game at all costs, because the player, male or female, doesn't matter which sport, is talented on the field, but we know they're not being successful in the classroom. We're really creating, you know, the worst case scenario. Now, I have to say, if someone is doing their best and they're not academically inclined, that's okay. They're doing it at their level. But if we know a student is receiving a 2.1 or 1.9, and we know they can get a 2.8, but they're just not doing it, and we're still going to put them out on the field to win the high school game or knockout cup or to play for your club, we're doing a disservice to the student and the sport and to Bermuda.
Right, because we're not getting the best out of
We're not getting the best. So the first thing we do, we have to change the mindsets.
So of the adult.
And passing on to the kids. So the parents need to know, as much time you invest in your son, looking for which club is the best, the football boots, the tours, you know, if you're spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year on football, that's what happened. A tour costs $2,500. Football boots are $200. Club fees are average at $300. And the camps, I run camps, are about $200 to $25. So you add all it up, it's about $5,000 without you knowing it. You know, if you're going to invest in that, why not say, after I've done that for 10 years or 7 years, which could easily be $30,000, wouldn't I want to know that my investment is leading to my son having some type of certificate support system, but also a network or outreach where it's time to go to college. We know that he has applied to 10 colleges. We know that we visited 1 or 2, and we have a good feeling that at least 3 or 4 are willing to make some type of contribution.
Wow. Wow.
Now, because we're so busy trying to survive, you know, and most parents are working 2 or 3 jobs, including myself, that, you know, even if the information is handed down, sometimes the parents don't have time for it, and we can't knock them because, you know, what's first? Electricity or food on the table, school clothes. So, and the clubs have volunteers.
Right.
So the clubs are doing a good thing, I would say that. So the club is responsible for developing the child on the field. And we could say community and social aspect, but let's say they go there for football, so they're going to go good football education. The school is giving them good academic education. Now, I'm trying to come in and mirror the two, or marry the two, to say, you know, school's doing one thing, the club's doing one thing. I want to be part of that missing piece to make sure they now can take all of that information, accreditation, certification, recognition awards, and take that all overseas and get a good education. And as simple as that. So how do we do that? We have to communicate with the parents earlier. We have to communicate with the schools, and learning there are certain tests they need to take in advance. Also knowing that it has to be driven by the child. So the parent can communicate and say, my son wants to go to school. But the older they get, it's actually the child that has to communicate with the overseas coach. Because when you go to college, they do not call the parent unless the fees haven't been paid. And they give the notice to the child. You then has to say, mom and dad, you know, fees, but because you're an adult. So the coach has to talk to the child about, you know, you want to come to my school. So the child now has to do research. Why do you want to come to the school? Is this a school for you? Do you know what the school GPA requirements are? Have you done your PSAT, your SAT? Do you have footage of yourself? So talking to coaches saying, you know what, I receive 150 emails a day.
Wow.
There's no way I can talk to that. But if somebody sends me a video of them playing 3-4 minutes and I can look, okay, maybe of interest in me, I will reply.
Gotcha.
There's small things which may cost $150, $300, and parents may say, I'm not spending all that money, but you're getting $200 50 boots, which is not going to lead to your son or daughter getting a scholarship. So we have to have those talks. When do you do that? You know, when you're in S2, you should be actually getting footage rather in advance and not the last year of high school, because they want to see how were you last year or the year before. And then keeping track of your stacks. So all the certificates that you get, you may find are not important. Don't throw them away. Create a profile for yourself. Communicate with the school. If you actually go to Florida or somewhere on vacation, New York, go visit the school. Go visit the school so you can find it. Don't just go to Disney World shopping. So those things are very important.
Cal, obviously you've been in this business for quite some time. You have a broad range of connections, communications with people overseas. Where do your strengths lie? Are you in Canada? Are you in the United States? Are you in Europe? Where do you go? Or you just spread yourself?
It's slowly growing. I mean, for Bermuda, I would always say the U.S. is the best connection. It's close by. It correlates with what we require on island, unless you're trying to do maybe law or something that's specific in the Commonwealth. And it's also the largest region when it comes to receiving academic and athletic bursaries. Right?
Okay.
Canada is a little bit more affordable. There are different ways to enter into Canadian schools, which is not always a requirement in the U.S. as far as SATs. So that's another opportunity. But we also now have the British passports, where, you know, if there are football players that want to go overseas and look for opportunities in academies or programs, you know, there are opportunities there as well. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to the academics. There's hopefully an opportunity coming along in the pipeline where a gentleman set up an academy, and if you have a British passport, you finish high school, you can go there. The only thing you have to pay is room and board, because the UK government will pay for the student athlete between the age of 16 to 18. They can do pre-college work. They can also train, play against academies, and hopefully be seen. When I say that about the pro side, I think in Bermuda we have to be realistic, because if I say there's maybe 100, 150 student athletes overseas, probably more. But I think parents are now choosing where they're going to say on the pro side. They're so focused pro that they're not even really looking at the quality of the school. They're looking at, well, this school is in this location, they're affiliated with this academy, that academy, he could be seen. But are you really thinking about the school side?
No.
I mean, how many pros are we going to get? You know, how many pros do we need? But at the end of the day, do we want to make sure that if your son's away for 5-6 years, or daughter, they need to come back with some type of qualification.
For sure.
Otherwise, it's a brain drain. You've been away for 10. I know what wrong with one young man was away in the UK for 10 years.
Wow.
Looking for this football dream. No qualifications, no certifications, nothing school-wise. Back in Bermuda.
Yes, sir. Wait, he was there for 10 years.
Close to 10 years.
So, I'm not...
Because following the football dream. So I'm not saying don't follow your dream.
No,
but
follow your dream.
You have to manage it.
Right. So who has the word blame? Do you look at the onus on himself, on the parents, on the programs that he was involved in?
I think everyone's to blame.
Okay.
After a certain age, it's you, but I think everyone has to say, look in the mirror and say, follow your dream, but always tie it into what is realistic. And realistic is that we all go to school to learn. And learn at your level, learn at your pace. And when I say further education, I'm not saying that everyone's trying to be a doctor or a scientist, lawyer.
Yeah.
You want to be a welder, you want to be a plumber. They are all great jobs. And right now, blue-collar jobs are paying more than white-collar jobs because, there are not enough welders and masons and electricians in the world anymore. Everyone's trying to do computer work, but we still need plumbers and electricians and tilers. So
that's true.
We all need to take responsibility to that. For parents, first and foremost, always say to ask yourself, in the worst-case scenario, which for me is the number one scenario, if your son can read and write and has a job and is educated, that's what we all want for our kids.
I think one of the biggest problems that we don't emphasize enough of, especially in professional sports, when a young man or young lady leave college early to pursue that professional career, they get a contract, they always go back and finish
the degree
to graduate. But that's really never emphasized enough, so someone, like you said, chasing their dream, that's always in the back of the mind. I go training, might go training twice a day, but I still got a few hours to go online and do a course to ensure that at the end of it all, whether or not I make it or not, I've got this to fall back on. And I think that's what needs to be said more regularly and loudly to ensure that even if the parent doesn't get it, at some point in time, the young person gets it to say, oh, okay, because we keep this pipeline dream of professional, but what about after the profession? Because you'll never be a professional in your life. You retire at some point in time. What do you do when you retire?
God forbid you get an injury.
During your time.
Yeah, you're right. And that's a personal story. I used to be a decent player. So 15 to 17, in school, we had knockout, the All-Star events back in the day. A lot of people, about 20 coaches would come down, and I was seen twice. And of course, first time was an ankle injury. Second time was a knee injury. So I was calling the school, it's like, we like you, but you're not going to be able to play. And we have a kid that's in our state that actually could play for us for the entire season. So I wasn't able to go to school on scholarship. So if you just bank on that, that scholarship or just your athletic ability, you have to be ready for the worst case scenario. For students and parents as well, I always tell I always do a presentation at Berkeley and Northlands every year about student athletes, and I ask them, what is your first plan? And they tell me I'm going to play football, and I'm saying, what is your first plan? Your first plan should be the student. Your backup plan is actually being the professional.
Right.
Because if you look at the percentages, anyone can go to college.
Right.
For sure.
Because they only see the end product. Right. Every Saturday, they get up, they turn on the TV, and they watch the professional. They don't realize what that professional went through to become a professional.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
so
right.
we always watch the glitter and goo, and not the process of getting to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
with that said, Cal, and with Earl's point, and both of his points is valid, would you ever think of putting once everything settled in with your business, he'll put a documentary together, a 30-minute or hour documentary?
So it's a good point that you're speaking to that now. So, this has come over me doing a presentation at Berkeley and Northlands and finding out that those presentations were enjoyed by the students, but I recognize and have relayed that to the group that puts on, they do a great job of Women's Society, that this needs to happen at an earlier stage of the student athlete's career in school. So we're doing it at the S4, and I said it's got to happen at S2 and S3. I don't mind doing it for S2, S3, and S4. But to do it in the final year of school in October is late. So I go there and say, okay, you're here because you want to be a student athlete, you're looking for a scholarship. Who's applied to a school? So we do 3 sit-ins or 2 sit-ins, maybe 55, 60 students, I'll get 5 hands up. Who's applied to more than 1 school? I'll get 2. Who's actually been to visit the school or received a reply from the school? I'll get 1. Who's applied for any besides applying to the school, who's applying for scholarships, I may get half a handout. So,
Wow.
and this is the last year of school.
Mhm.
Wow.
So now we need to do this as to
Early.
make it intrinsic for the student, who then communicates to the parent, and then they have 2 years to develop their plan. So
Makes
that's
sense.
part of the
Makes
process
sense.
as well.
Like
Makes
2
sense.
months.
Outside of that is that, even in middle school, we need to let our students know that this is what I want to say. Going to school, and I hope I don't say it wrong or somebody calls me out, but going to school is a business. You know why? When you go to college, you are there paying a fee of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. You're not paying that to get a school leaving diploma. You're paying that to the school so they can actually run their services.
Run the program.
So a university runs a service for giving you an education in whatever major that you want, to make sure that when you receive that document, it says that you are qualified at a basic level to go into a professional environment and provide a service to a for-profit organization that can now make money off of your intelligence.
Wow.
So if you recognize that you as a student, you are a commodity, just like going into a grocery store getting the milk, you go and look at which school you want to go to, and they say, well, this milk is 2%, it's going to cost you $1.50, this is going to cost you $1.75. It's a business. If you don't have the money to go to school, 9 times 10 you're not going to go there. Now, how does the school recruit you? Because if you are a good student, they can get more grants from wealthy donors, the Bill Gates, etc. If you're a good student athlete, they can actually run their programs or promote their programs. And in the U.S. now, you can go on ESPN. The coach now wants to have good athletes, not just to win, but if I'm a high school coach, what is my objective? To go become a college coach. If I become a college coach, I want to become an MLS coach or national team coach. The more stats I have, which are very driven in the U.S., that means I can either ask for a raise, I can go apply to bigger colleges, I now can actually apply for better jobs. So the better the team does, the coach does, and the coach now elevates himself in life.
Wow.
Right. Adding on to that, it's just like running a professional program. So if I'm at, besides Manchester City, Chelsea, if I'm at Watford and I have a budget of 13 million and I have to rebuild a team every 2 or 3 years, do I buy 1 player or do I buy 3 players? A college, every year, maybe 10 players leave their senior year, they have to bring 10 new players in. I have a budget of $250,000. So I can either get 4 players at $50,000 or I can actually get 12 players coming in knowing that they're not all going to play. I need that they're going to get a year to mature. And that now, the budget for soccer is $200,000 for scholarships. The academic budget for the school is maybe $3.5 million. So what I want to do as a coach is say, if you get a 3.0 or more, and you get most of that academic scholarship, I only need to give you 5 or 6,000. I can then now get a Cal Blankenau who then maybe got a 2.1. I can give him a lot of money because he's a great player. But if everyone's at a 2.1 level, I cannot give everyone the most money they need because you don't apply for academic scholarships. So a student needs to know you're a student first, then an athlete. You use both of your skill sets, will give you a better chance. Now, having talked to college coaches, they tell me that they would prefer a student who's not the best soccer player, but has a higher GPA, and then they can coach them to become a good player, maybe in the 2nd or 3rd year, and they can play in the 4th year. If you come in and you don't have the GPA, then they don't really want to take a risk of you, because then if you're not doing good in high school, how do you know you're going to be able to do college coursework?
And you know why? Aside from that, is because it also helps their mandate with academics, sports athlete / academics, education. And it makes them look good that their athletes are graduating with a 3.5, 3.6.
One thing you'll notice about a lot of colleges and universities, at the end of the school year, they list athletes who have graduated and from whatever sport it is. And that is a reflection on the academic, on the
student
sport,
athlete.
student athlete side of
You're right.
what they're doing.
And then I'm still learning, so I know there are people that probably have more background information. And Darren Lewis at Soltis is an excellent resource. So it's not just about Cal Blankenau. He has an excellent resource. But Division 1, they are able to give you academic and athletic scholarships, but you have to have a certain GPA. Right. Now, if you go to Division 2, it's a little bit less. But Division 3, which is probably the largest number of schools, they don't really give athletic scholarships at all, but they give academic scholarships. So you can go to school without being the best athlete, but you have to get your academics up. If your academics are good, you have a better chance of getting a bursary. It doesn't have to be an athletic bursary. It just has to be a scholarship. So everyone's saying they got a scholarship. It doesn't have to be an athletic scholarship. Use your brain to get a scholarship. Once you have that money, then you're also a good athlete. You can go to school. Because in Bermuda, that's what we need. We need individuals to go overseas, bring back knowledge, come back to Bermuda, work, keep our government, keep our businesses operating. You know, otherwise we're gonna have a brain drain, or we're gonna have people that are away for 5-6 years and coming back and saying, I can't get a job. But you know, did you go to school? Yes, but I didn't graduate. So now we're giving the employers a chance to say, you know,
I need to bring in somebody.
and so doing research on my own, you know, I try to do the full time. Sometimes I say I need to actually go back into full time business, you know, because it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. To be honest. So you know, just by talking to what do you call it, HR persons and doing a little research, I went online to workforce development because that's the government website for individuals looking for a job. So even Kyle Blankendale, yes, sometimes says I need to get back into mainstream employment. I'm not going to lie about that. So I just clicked on a tab and I looked. I saw there were like 5,500 work permits in Bermuda. 5,500 work permits. So let me say we can't get a job. That's 5,500 people that if you have the skill set or certification, I'll say out of the 5,500, maybe there's 1,500 for special engineering, doctors or something. But half of that is jobs that individuals can do. But again, and some quite require basic certification, experience, or just, you know, you finish your career in college and applying. But 5,500 work permits. So, you know, Bermudians, we really shouldn't be out of a job. You know, we should be able to work at a certain level. And I know not everyone wants to do certain jobs. But again, we should be able to all have employment. And that's my goal, to make sure that our students and student athletes are able to find employment in our country.
This is a huge initiative that Cal's taking on, and you know, I applaud you for what you're doing, because a number of our athletes, yes, find it that they cannot combine the academics with athletics.
Because they haven't realized it at a young age.
Well, not only that, let's be honest. Our system here, education, doesn't put the emphasis on it, and we push them through. And that's not just education; it's also in the households, right? That is not there. Times have changed where a person like Mr. Blankendale has taken this initiative to say, look, I can show you a pathway, or I can assist you in going into this school to get this scholarship with academics. However, this is what's required. So that probably means, Cal, I'm sure, that you're going to need some tutoring for this athlete, male/female, to get them to their next level. What you're doing is tremendous, because it's not an easy task, right? We always had talent, whatever sport it is, males and female, whatever sport across sport. But we always struggle with the academics. Let's be real. And this goes back even 40 years ago, not just like 10 or 15 years ago. So I applaud you for what you're doing. Keep up the good work, because this is not easy. How do you manage it? That's what I want to know. How do you manage this stuff?
Well, you have to have a passion. So for me, when I wake up, it doesn't feel like work. So I love sports. I love football, soccer. You know, I've always been in that environment. Even when I was in high school, I tried to do every sport. You know, sports got you out of the classroom. So I tried to play cricket. I was in the cricket team, but I probably fielded out once. So sports, when you love what you do, that's it. But again, you know, if you're going to do something and you wake up and it puts a smile on your face, and if you're going to do something, make sure it's worthwhile benefits. So again, I want to mention Brian Martin, a Bermudian, who lives in Calvert County in Maryland. Southern Maryland, and offspring of Bermuda's Brazilian football school, Dennis Brown, Lou Simmons, is now Bermuda Soccer International. They set up a partnership over there, so Bermuda's Brazilian football school goes there and does camps every summer. They have now branched out and made connections with academic institutions. One is the Calverton School in Calvert County, so there's now at least 1 or 2 Bermudians there. Just started this semester. And the school is connected to the MLS club DC United, so they're now receiving high-end quality coaching inside of the school, but it's still academics-based. But again, if students are doing the proper coursework and talented enough, they can be recruited by the MLS club. But I'm not saying that's a given. You have to have both ends of the talent pool. There's also connections now directly with 1 or 2 colleges. So there is a young man who actually attended that a school in that location, Huntington Town, Highly Eve. He moved to the States on his own merit, connected with Brian Martin at Huntington Town. He's a Bermudian, Bermudian, and he was offered a scholarship to a university based on a video analysis And I think he's now there in college for his freshman. And having seen Harley leave Bermuda, and then 2 years later seeing him overseas, it's like just the change in his demeanor, his focus on
Transformation in 1 year.
academics,
Yeah.
just recognizing that everyone else around me recognizes they have to get a good GPA to go to school. So in Bermuda, we take things for granted. When I go to the US, all they talk about is, yes, my GPA. And I did a presentation. It was raining, so we couldn't go outdoors. So I'm saying about who's got a 3.0. I think about 60% of the guys in the class put up their hands. Who's got a 3,
This is in Maryland.
yeah, who's got a
Okay.
3.5? At least 20%. And they said 4.0. At least 3 guys put up their hands. And these are athletes. Now, they may not
That's
be the
amazing.
best players
Mhm.
when I compare them locally, but, a 4.0, what college is going to deny you with a 4.0? Where can you not go and
They're
apply
calling
for
you,
a
mate.
scholarship?
Yeah, they're calling you.
For a 4.0.
Yeah, they're looking for you.
They're calling you.
So that's the network that we're trying to create. We also, without saying your name, through Brazilian Football School and Sports Management Group, we have our football development program. So we brought in some coaches in April and June of this year. And through that network, we had Bob de Klerk, who is a former coach at Ajax.
Right.
Of course, he found out about Clyde Bass through myself and Dennis Braun. Dennis Braun facilitated a meeting with Clyde Bass and myself and Bob. Was great. And then he's like, "You have any talented players in Bermuda?" To me, and I'm like, "Well, I really can't vouch for a player to go to Holland." So Mr. Bass is in there, and I call him Mr. King. Bass says, "I know two." So he says, "Well, if you recommend anything to me, Sir Clyde Bass." So I'm saying, "Okay, Clyde, you take care of my show, Mr. Bass." So Mr. Bass recommended 2 players. One was venturing to the UK, and one said, "I'll take a look." So without mentioning the name, there's actually a Bermudian in the lower leagues in Holland right now, under Mr. Best, in an amateur club, trying to make his way up into the pro league, which is a great experience. He's been over there for about a month now, finding his way.
Really?
But what's good, the club is linked to a university. So as we go forward, there are players that actually can go to Holland,
Right.
play for an amateur club that plays against the academy teams or pro clubs, but also get a college or university education at the same time. So
So
we're
the
always
process is
marrying
still
the
the
student
same.
athlete.
Okay.
Yeah, now the paperwork needs to be done, but we know, coming from Holland, university in Europe and especially in Holland is going to be like 75-80% cheaper than the US. I mean, you can probably get an education for less than $15,000 to $10,000 from a high quality European university, where you're paying maybe 40 or 50 in the US. So, and playing high level football as well.
Right.
So there are opportunities that are there.
We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up with you, Cal. And you got some more things to share with us. Let's take a commercial break, pay those bills. We'll be back after this.
Talk Radio with Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Baster.
Interesting topic again. We're having our good friend, Mr. Calvin Blankendale, joining us in the studio today. Cal, before we wrap up, again, just give us some information. How can someone get in contact with you? Because this is very important to combine academics and athletics together in order to get a scholarship.
The easy way to contact me is Calvin with a C, BDA@gmail.com, or telephone is 505-7999. That's the easy way to contact me. It's also a personalized concept, so there's no one package fits all. It depends what level you are as a student, what level you are as an athlete, where your academics are, your social skills, and your personal interests. And when are you looking to travel overseas? Could be to visit a school, football opportunities or sports opportunities. I've received calls for volleyball and track and field as well. So branching out, and definitely not me working in silo. It's working with anyone. I just had a chat today with another person who's got a network, and like the more the better. It's not about me trying to hold all the information.
No.
Outside of that, I received a call about 4 months ago, just a cold call, and it's like I need a female player. I was able to find two. One actually went to the school. Her name is Jade Stewart. She plays for the women's national team. She just played her first game over the weekend and scored 2 goals.
Wow.
And I would be proud to say, even though she wasn't officially part of the student athlete program, by receiving a call, reaching out to her parents, helping them do that basic process. Her mom's a school teacher, so she knows a lot more about the academic setup. She was able to go in as a student athlete. And that school is now looking to have more Bermudians attend as well. So it's
what school is it?
That's Holland College. It's a small school in Prince Edward Island. It's a 2-year school. But again, if she does well and continues to do well, it would open up the doors for more Bermudians. 1 or 2 attended in the past, so they have a good relationship. But that's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what it's all about. We have a few kids in boarding school as well. So it's just about each person knowing what to do well in advance. That's my thing. I would want to give the information years in advance instead of graduating. What am I supposed to do now?
No, and you're right. I think definitely touched on it, basically saying that if your son or daughter is going to graduate in 2 years' time, this is the time to do it now. You don't wait 6 months before they graduate, or even that year they graduate. You need to do it 2 months in advance, 18 months, because that starts the process. And that opens up even more avenues when you start that early, because this school may not be the one for he or she, but the others.
And even just talking, I was to a forum the other day and I saw the Heritage Scholarship. It's even as simple. I try to do it now as a godfather. I'm like, I'm not buying any more birthday presents for my nephews.
Good man.
My thing is like start a fund when your son or daughter is 1 or 2 years old, or as soon as they're born, and just put $50 a month into it. So even if they do not get a bursary, you are able to pay for their first year of college.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to get more expensive. So again, I cannot promise you that if you're part of this program that you are definitely going to be able to receive a bursary, but just by improving your academics, you create an opportunity for yourself and your family. So I want to definitely finish with Brazilian football school. We're still around. We're going to kick it back off on September the 18th with our football and life skills back at the Bermuda High School for Girls Indoor Gymnasium, ages 5 to 14. We also have an older age group, but we always allow them to come a little bit later, make sure they settle in the school. But October the 22nd to the 26th, we're going to have our third Football Development Academy program. We'll have Bob de Klerk, former coach of Ajax. We'll have Jack Bijsterveld, who is the U12 Academy Director at FC Utrecht. We're going to have Jason Box, who is an Academy coach at DC United MLS, and also tied into the Calverton School. And we are also looking to, we'll also be bringing in Brett Merzen, who is the Carver coaching director. He's also an assistant technical director at the Oakville Blue Devils. And it's through him that Bermuda Brazilian Football School has traveled to Germany, Holland, Chelsea, all over the world. So we're bringing in some high quality coaches again. And we may have Holland College coming in as well with 1 or 2 of their directors to cement further relationships for Bermuda. This age group was to be for 8 to 16. We at the National Sports Center. Registration for that will open hopefully next week. We're trying to do an online process for that to streamline that. But again, when you come to our programs, it's not about football. It's going to be all about mirroring academics and education. So the concept that we're trying to do is half-day football, and then later in the day, We want to make sure that every day there's a presentation taking place either about life skills or academics, and then also give opportunities for the student athletes to meet with coaches and potential academy scouts so they can start creating their pathways in life. And also heard from the expert, because sometimes in Bermuda we say, and it's like, oh, but if someone from overseas says the same thing, people's ears come out. So, that's what it doesn't matter who they listen to as long as they listen.
Right. We're going to take another commercial break. And before we wrap up, we'll get the trivia question. I don't want you to go anywhere yet, Cal. We'll take one more commercial break, then we'll come back to the trivia question. We'll be back after this.
With host Ian Rollins and co-host.
And thank you back. Cal, final words before we wrap up with you today?
And final words. First day of school, we want all of our students to do well, not only this year, but for the rest of their academic lifespan. We want parents to talk to their sons and daughters how important it is to do well in school, to enjoy the school year, to use all of their talents for the best of their personal benefit of their school, club, and the island. And let's take advantage of information to benefit you, yourself, and your community. I have to admit, the programs I'm putting on are not free, but I will say we find funds and money to pay for all the other pleasures we have in life. And, there are costs to, if you have to pay to give yourself or your son or daughter a chance in life, it's worth it.
Sure.
Everything, there's a cost in everything. So that people say the best in your life for free. Okay, let's see how much you pay. There's a cost in life for everything. But again, let's start out. And for most people that know myself or Dennis Brown, anyone who we're affiliated with, we would never turn anyone away for a lack of funds. Because I came up at Western Star Sports Club anytime, and I think the dues for $25. I know I didn't have the $25, but I was able to play every year, and I'm grateful because that has given me the passion in life, good standing, and enjoyment for the game, and I'm always willing to give back. So as I wrap it up, to the Western Star Sports Club, anytime, the Bermuda Football Association, Bermuda Sports Union Football School, it's been a pleasure. And any way I can help and give back, I will. And parents just recognize this, that sit down at the table with your talented student athletes and let them know no matter what they want to achieve in life, they need to be able to read and write their own contracts. You need to make sure that trying to get the highest mark. Passing is failing in today's environment. Everyone's passing. You need to now show that school why they should give you that $30,000-$40,000 investment that they're making into you because you are a good student that has athletic skills and a good social mindset.
For sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to do our sports trivia question, and I'll just read out. It's the same trivia question we had last week, and it says, I repeat, on January 31st, 1983, DJ Williams received one of the highest honors of the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, for his contributions to the Olympic movement. Named the Olympic award presented to him by IOC President then, Juan Antonio Samaranch. Give us a call at 292-9595. You have about 4 minutes to give us a call. I'll repeat that question again. On January 31st, 1983, DJ Williams received one of the highest honors of the International Olympic Committee, IOC, for his contributions to the Olympic movement. Named the Olympic award presented to him by then President IOC, Juan Antonio Samaranch. Give us a call, 292-9595.
I tell you, that's going to last about a month.
You think so? And those who are Googling it, you can't find it because I Googled it first. But that doesn't mean anything. Anything can come up.
Yeah, anything
can happen, right?
Every once in a while, you get lucky.
Yeah. Mr. Benkadon just put you on the spot. It's still talking about sports here. Did you have a chance to see the Serena Williams tennis or see highlights of it?
A few highlights of it, yes.
Yeah. What did you think about that?
It's difficult. I mean, passion is there. Well, I mean, let's be honest. There is a gender bias.
Yep.
And what we even in our local sports, if there's a male match and a female match, and I berate the official, which is wrong. It's just being a man. If a female does it, it's simply you're a mother, you're a daughter. Yeah. So if you look at society different. It's always two coins because athletes are supposed to have this self-control, but the emotions and the time frame and the pressure of trying to be successful and win gets the best of us.
Right.
What I have not seen out of everything is that what's happening to the official, because there's the people that know the game and are high up in the game have indicated that something took place that should not have happened, but I haven't seen. I mean, other tennis players. So if they are former players or they are part of the game, then if they say something occurred but shouldn't have occurred, I'm wondering, like, the powers that be now, how would they deal with the official? Because a referee in the World Cup, if you do something like that, you're not going to go to the next round. If it's in cricket, you're going to be crashing about your judgment. So what happens to that referee who had a major impact in the game, win or lose? How is he going to ensure that it doesn't happen again?
Well, let's be real. Let's be even. Down the middle here. The rules and regulations, what he outlined, are stipulated in there in tennis. She was given a warning, right? Yes, we know the gender bias. I'm in agreement with that.
Was the warning for breaking the tennis racket?
Prior to that. It was prior to that. She got a warning.
For coaching interference?
Coaching interference and warning for her behavior. And then that's when she broke the racket and one thing led to another.
I thought she broke the racket when she dropped the, what was it, the 5th game in the first set?
I don't know when she did it, but I'm saying she got the warning. That's where I'm getting at. And that's what they're saying, that in the rules that what he outlined is there. The only thing that shocks everyone, and still shocks me to this day, that they've never been implemented because we don't take it that far. Look at Jimmy Connors, Alien Estasi, and who's the other guy I mentioned? John McEnroe. They used to.
But I mean, I'm not.
Hear it.
I watch tennis on the occasion, but there are times when I've seen male tennis players throw rackets, break rackets, and I've never seen them receive this form of punishment.
No. And I agree. It's
so
strong.
Is the referee room for implementing it? No, because maybe this is the time they say, we are going to set a new standards. But if you look at, as a referee, sometimes you also have to feel the match, right? So a good referee can know everything about the rules, but you have to feel the game.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do something that's going to impact the actual outcome of the game just by a decision to give a decision,
not good.
Not good. You got to feel the game sometimes.
No, you're right. And that being the finals of the US Open and the finals of the major tennis circuit for the year, because the next one obviously starts in January.
And I want to say one thing. If you are a match official, and I'm going to say it locally, after the game, if people only remember what you've done on the pitch, then you've actually had a bad game.
Well, to be fair, the team that lost would always blame the official.
Or individual.
in Bermuda.
Or individuals. Not just in Bermuda,
Yeah.
but overseas.
I'm talking
as
about
well.
respecting that. If I go to a game and my first comment is, you should have saw what this referee done.
Right.
That means the referee didn't have a good game.
Right.
We should be able to talk about the quality game or lack of quality, and then the referee should be last. Yeah, I'm always going to have debate if it's my team. Of course, it wasn't a penalty. But it shouldn't go into somewhere after a game and always talking about, how was the game? Well, you should have saw the ref today.
But
I'm talking about in all sports.
I'm going to say, because that's across the board in all sports.
All
Just about
sports.
to say that.
All
Right.
sports.
You're right about
So in
that.
Bermuda, every time you read an article, it's always about an umpire, a referee, a match official. And then you have to read down the line for the quality of the match. It should be like, this was a very, very good game, quality passing, intense. We're always reading the match official first.
Well, you know why? Because most of the time, they're the people that the press can attack and know that nothing's coming back. They wouldn't attack a player for their performance because they'll see that player on the street and integrity goes out the door, where the match official integrity has to stay true. So they attack the people that they know won't come back at them. That's why you always read that.
So was that the case this year with Bayless Bay all-rounder?
When you say
Regarding Mr. Brayman and the officials with the umpires, Bayless Bay and the Western Stars match this year.
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Brayman, who didn't play cup match for Suns.
Right. When
everyone
he chose not to
chose
walk.
not to walk. The attention went on to the umpires.
Yes, yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
so
That's what you can base it on that.
Right.
The attention went to the one group of people who cannot respond publicly. So, you know what I mean? I find a lot of that happens in Bermuda. I don't know about elsewhere, but a lot of that happens in Bermuda. I agree with you. If the official is the person talked about the most, then obviously they didn't have a good game. But I find a lot of people read what you were saying because those are the people, the easiest targets of anything. And it could be just one decision, but they make that one decision, we use football terms, one decision out of 10 seconds to make the 90 minutes of what happened.
So sad. So
Yeah.
no, in a lot of sports.
Yeah.
It's happened. It's happened. Well, Mr. Blankendale, I thank you very much again for joining us, man. We got to have you on more often.
Thank you. No. Once,
Give a little
once in a
segment.
while. Oh, yes.
Segment.
As I leave,
Brown.
I want to indicate to Mr. Dennis Brown, Rock Brown of Somerset Trojans Cricket Club, all right, that, many years ago you lost the race to Mr. Ian Rollins, and he knew he was going to be in broadcasting tonight, and he said, if I beat you, you need to come here and do a full-length interview on any subject matter that I wish to discuss with you. So, Mr. Brown, I'm calling you up into the chair here at the Sports Talk Radio.
Inside Sports Talk Radio.
Inside Sports Talk Radio,
Yep.
for you to come here and a subject matter that Mr. Rollins and Mr. Basin will bring to your attention rather in advance. And that's because you lost that race many years ago.
It was in a training session at Somerset.
And Mr. Brown, I want you to know, I want you to wear your Bermuda Brazilian football colors, which are light blue and dark blue. See you and get it.
Nah, Mr. He tore it out. That was not the deal, Dennis.
Is it true?
You can wear those colors all you
gotta
want, but
represent.
I just know that he was representing Somerset Trojans at that time.
He's representing his heart.
But you know what? I just want to take 30 seconds.
Sure.
One of the most underrated individuals. We always talk about sports, right?
Mhm.
But I must say, Dennis Brown is underrated when it comes to developing young individuals.
Mhm.
You don't hear a lot from him. When he does speak, he speaks passionately. He doesn't hold any punches. So Mr. Basin, he would tell a player, he's one of the few people that says the player, you didn't live up to your expectations, or what you did was extremely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we don't really appreciate what individuals like Dennis Brown bring to the table. We talk about his coaching expertise, but what he brings from a human level and a life skills level. And one of the few individuals that everyone listens to and says, you know what, if Dennis says it, there has to be a little bit of truth to it. There has to be some common sense. So I would love for you, Dennis, to come in and let's talk about, less about your coaching, but about how you impact young people, because, we don't really recognize individuals like that until they're gone, unless they win an award. But what he has done for many, many years in the community, developing young men, I mean, he should be recognized for that by many institutions.
The sports awards coming up this year, Mr. Black.
Yeah, so maybe let's find out who can make those recommendations to put him up as a potential candidate for one of those awards.
Sure. Yeah, he's a good man. They didn't call him Rock for nothing. He was growing up. He was the Rock. There you go. Well, we didn't get no calls in on that question, so we'll just save it for next week, running over that sports trivia question. Mr. Rodigan, thank you very much for being in controls.
Gentlemen,
Yes, yes, yes.
You got one more week of gentlemen.
if you pass it on.
Yes,
Yeah,
do pass
That's
it
a
on.
staple now.
All right, sir. Well, that's all the time we have for Inside Sports Talk Radio. We'll be back next week on the 17th of September. Enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe and sound, Bermuda.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.